Alright guys, for those of you who are new to the channel or haven't seen my video on the real reason why they buffed Zhongli and Geo, you guys can just skip ahead using the timestamp below. But for those of you who did, this is pretty much a correction video. That entire video was created under the assumption that Albedo was a unit who is all about his ult, which would remain on the field for a while and synergize with Zhongli's pillar. Now, I was obviously wrong about this, so that tossed the entire Zhongli Albedo combo out the door, and that in turn tossed the entire analysis out the door. So I had to rethink things, and that is going to lead to this video. The reason I lost track was because I did an analysis video on a character that wasn't released yet, and that was a huge mistake. So along with leaks and future buffs, I won't be doing videos on units that aren't officially released. It avoids a lot of bad analysis and I hate being wrong, okay? So, as for what was said in that video, I just want to confirm what still stands. So, yes, MiHoYo was expecting the Albedo banner to not do so well, and to combat this, they made the 4 stars on the banner all insanely great units, and they announced Geo and Zhongli buffs early. You see, the Geo buffs seem to be something they always had on their mind, and it's just that they didn't want to tell us anything about it. And no, they didn't buff Zhongli because they want people to be interested in the Albedo Zhongli synergy. I was totally wrong about that because there isn't any synergy between those two units to begin with. Now, the reason Zhongli and Geo are getting buffed is not because of Albedo. There is something else going on, and I'm going to talk about it in this video. They did, however, announce the buff, so people will pull on the Zhongli banner, which did happen. So yeah, as far as Albedo goes, there were money-related motivations for doing what they did. I just got the motivations themselves wrong, and the Zhongli buff announcement succeeded in increasing sales to Zhongli, and the Geo buff and Insane banner succeeded in increasing sales to Albedo. So that just fixed all those issues. But they didn't do it just for sales. I just want to be clear here. They didn't do these buffs just for the sales. They just announced it early for the sales. Because I think that Zhongli and Geo was supposed to get buffed anyway, and that has something to do with Dendro, and I'm going to talk about it just now. You see, Zhongli himself needed a good rework because it's not that he's bad, it's just that he's not special. He doesn't fill a niche. And there's a big difference between being bad and not being special. Also, while recording this, I heard about his additional buffs, which is actually pretty insane and is definitely going to push him over the edge towards greatness. So yeah, basically he's not a bad unit, he just isn't special. And as a 5-star, he should be special. So MiHoYo would want to change that, and it is a money related motivation. You see, they have to be very careful not to create overpowered units because I think it's illegal for them to nerf characters. So it's very tense whenever they're releasing new characters because one bad move and they could ruin the whole game because they can't undo something that they did, right? If it's a 5-star. Now, they didn't buff him because the community bitched about it either. They buffed him because according to the data he was underperforming as a 5-star, and if a 5-star underperforms, people will be reluctant to pull for them, and those who did will just be angry at the game thinking about the fact that they wasted cash for a unit that is not uniquely useful, which is exactly what a 5-star should be. It should be uniquely useful. So you can't have unhappy paying customers, so of course it always goes back to money. And like I said, I knew there were money related motivations behind the buffs. I just got the motivations themselves wrong. So I just want to apologize to you guys. I got really carried away by the hype, and I keep telling you guys not to get carried away by the hype, and I got carried away by the hype. Anyways, I don't know why I thought doing predictions and analysis based on a trailer was such a good idea, and I know though I wasn't entirely wrong and I did have disclaimers in the video, I still feel pretty bad about it, so it won't happen again. So now, in this video today, I am going to tell you guys what MiHoYo is trying to surprise us with, and of course this isn't confirmed, I'm just here predicting stuff based on the data I have so far. But these predictions are very solid, and they're so solid that I'm actually going to say that if you don't want spoilers for Dendro, then please leave this video right now. Okay, so Albedo dropped, and we got a lot going on. So I'm pretty sure everyone is testing him to see what he's capable of, but I could assure you that after the dust clears and the hype settles down, people will still miss what I'm about to tell you here. You see, I already know how this is going to play out. First, we're going to be careful not to force main DPS role onto Albedo because I think everybody has learned their lesson from Big Daddy Zhongli. And then we're going to see at the end of all of this that Albedo is a burst support with some great AoE damage. And, you know, he's a really good with that, with his E skill where he just keeps the damage up all the time. Now, there are some problems with Albedo, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. But basically the conclusion is going to be that he's just a burst support and a facial type kind of character. However, I am here to tell you that Albedo is something else that I did not expect MiHoYo to bring this early into the game. And I'm going to waste no time and I'm going to pop the bubble right away. You see, Albedo is a Geo enabler. Let me repeat that. Albedo is a Geo enabler. We have a Geo enabler in the game right now. He's basically like Fischl, but for Geo. He drops his flower, you fight, stuff gets hit with Geo like every 2 seconds, and the flower lasts for about 30 seconds. This guy is built to enable Geo, and that is what everyone is missing about him. And it makes sense that they do because Geo doesn't have a reaction with anything, so nobody is out there constantly looking for a Geo enabler, right? So let's get into this a little bit deeper. If you watched my predictions video, which I dropped the day before Zhongli came out, you'll know that I made some serious predictions regarding Dendro synergizing with Geo. Now, fast forward to the present day, and we have Albedo here, who is a Geo enabler. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, Albedo doesn't use the debuff that's on his enemies to create his crystallized shields. So if you have something affected, like let's say by Hydro, right, and his flower procs, it's gonna create a crystal shield and the Hydro debuff is still going to be on the enemy, which is pretty insane. This makes it so that Albedo doesn't mess with the reactions needed for your team to function, and it makes him a sort of universal kind of unit that could fit into any comp and not mess with your important reactions. So the guy enables Geo, doesn't screw up your reactions. Pretty cool. And the first prediction here is that all Geo units will have this ability in the future. All Geo units will be adjusted to create their crystallized shields without burning the debuff from the enemies. I truly believe that that is going to be a step forward and MiHoYo is going to make that happen. So let's address the big question here. Why the hell would MiHoYo release a Geo enabler if Geo doesn't react with anything? That doesn't make any sense, right? But you see, if you consider my Geo Dendro predictions, then things are starting to make some sense. Also, to add on top of that, Zhongli is being changed so that he drops a pillar whenever he puts up a shield. Now, as I mentioned in my recent Zhongli video talking about the real reason why he was buffs, this was done to negate the dilemma of choosing between damage and defense, so you could have both at the same time. And I also discussed a possible Albedo Zhongli synergy. However, I did have a disclaimer on the screen stating that this would only be possible if Albedo's ult structures remain on the field, but it does not, so I had to scratch that. Now, these predictions here are more plausible because I think MiHoYo is trying to give Zhongli easy access to some enabling abilities. You see, Zhongli as he is right now is only capable of enabling Geo if you don't shield and instead drop his pillars. So let's assume that Dendro and Geo has a reaction, right? And you want to have Zhongli be a good Geo enabler. He's not going to have as wide of a field as Albedo, obviously, but he's at least going to be a good one. So looking at it from this perspective, if you want to change Zhongli to be a better enabler, you need to have him capable of dropping both his pillar and his shields at the same time. You can't have your players wanting to choose between the two. So I think that was the real reason why he got that buff. we'll have access to both his enabling and shielding abilities at the same time, and we won't have to choose one or the other. Now, of course, I'm not going to just stop there. Let's look at the Geo Dendro Synergy a little bit more closely. You see, Geo is representing Earth, right? And Dendro represents nature. So it makes sense that they would synergize together, especially if we consider the other reactions that we have. They kind of make sense, sort of, right? So, like nature needs Earth. Now, it's possible that there won't be a reaction effect when Geo and Dendro meet, and that's why I avoided using that term when discussing this in my predictions video on the Zhongli banner. You see, the reason is because there is that Dendro slime in the game right now, and when you hit it with Geo, nothing actually happens. So, of course, they could change that, right? They could obviously just incorporate it into the game, but I'm not here to work out the specifics, right? I'm just here to tell you the general idea of what's up. So another thing I like to point out is that Dendro is an AoE based element, meaning that Dendro units will more often than not cover some very wide areas with their nature structures, as we can see with the Dendro Mage and the Dendro Slime. If you did that recent daily mission that we had, the Dendro Slime did some very interesting things. Now, Zhongli and Albedo both have AoE enabling fields to complement this, and I do not think that that is a coincidence. So in this next section, I'm gonna talk a little bit about how I think the Dendro and Geo synergies or reactions are gonna work. So the basic idea is that Dendro units are going to have effects that get boosted when used on an enemy who is affected by Geo or when Geo structures are active. That's the basic idea of what these predictions are based off of. We have basically Geo structures, the Geo debuff, and we have Geo crystals to play around with, right? So maybe we will be able to react, Dendro will be able to react with Geo crystals, right? And use them as soil to plant seeds and create more Dendro structures. So what I'm saying is, you know how the Dendro Mage, he can put up these vines, right? These very pointy vines, right? What if we have a Dendro unit who could do something like that, and then they use the Geo crystals that are lying around to grow even more vines? So that's gonna like increase their reach, right? And you'll be able to spawn more vines in the field. And that could be a reaction, or it could be a synergy within the kit of a Geo unit itself. Now, this can be really good, but only if most Dendro units are creating Dendro structures, and that would make sense. Another quick example would be, let's say you have a Dendro healer, right? And they bring up, let's say, like a flower on the field, and when you're near it, it's gonna heal you. So the reaction is gonna be, if the Geo crystals are on the field next to the flower, more flowers are gonna spawn using the crystals, and that will give you more healing. So basically, I'm trying to say that the Geo Dendro reaction is going to be something that says there are Geo crystals on the field. You could use them to create more Dendro structures of your units. I'm thinking that the reaction is going to be something like that, because that really makes use of all the crystallized shields we tend to have lying around, and they are buffing crystallized shields too. So it could be that they're going for quality over quantity because they have a plan for us to actually use those crystals for something. So it could be that they're trying to give us some quality over quantity, because we're not going to have as much of them if we're running a Dendro unit. Of course, this is just an analysis, right? Just trying to predict what they're about to do. Now, another possibility is that Dendro structures may have the ability to interact with Geo structures. So let's take Zhongli's pillar, for example. Let's say you drop his pillar and then you use a Dendro ability that creates something like vines, right? And the vines are gonna like quickly start to grow on the pillar and kind of like wrap around it, and that's gonna extend its range. Or maybe like in the flower example, you'll have flowers starting to like grow out of the pillar, and that means like, you know, you're around the pillar, you're gonna get healed more. Or if the enemies are around the pillar, they're gonna get hit by the vines. So that's a very interesting concept, because a lot of the times enemies would like try to attack the pillar, attack the geostructures, and if you have like these pointy vines around it, that would be a very interesting synergy to have going on there. So yeah, there's that.
And you also know that we could set Dendro on fire. So if you imagine it, you could have like these, burning pillars, geostructures just all over the field. And imagining it is really cool, especially if you imagine it with the Geo MCs. Oh, just have a bunch of balls on the field on fire and just, dealing burn damage to everything. So it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing to think about. It's also very likely that Dendro will synergize with the other elements, but we're gonna have to wait and see. I do have some theories for this too, so I'm just gonna tell you guys here. I think that Hydro is actually going to make Dendro structures grow larger and increase their effects or something. Maybe like, water makes plants grow. That's the basic idea. And I think cryo could like freeze them and make them last longer on the field, so that would increase like their duration. And I don't know about electro. If any of you guys have anything about electro, you could just drop it in the comments and I could get to that. Now, I just want to remind you guys that this is just me trying to predict your next move based on what they've done so far. It's just an analysis. None of what I said here is leaked information. None of it is data mined or confirmed. I'm not working with MiHoYo or anything like that. So if everything turns out exactly as I'm saying here, just know it's just an analysis. I just happen to be really good at that kind of stuff. Now, that said, it's also entirely possible that none of these predictions will come true, and Dendro will just be another element and it only synergizes with Pyro to cause burning. This is 100% possible, but not 100% likely. Like, you guys seriously think that MiHoYo wants to give Pyro even more exclusive power? I don't think so. But Earth and nature, that makes sense to me. And given how underwhelming the Geo reaction is, the Geo as a whole is, if you could give that some reaction potential, then yeah, that makes sense to me as well. Now, let's assume I'm wrong, right? Let's assume that none of these predictions are going to come true and there won't be a Geo Dendro reaction at all, right? Let's say that Dendro comes out and with nothing special, no reactions, just Pyro, nothing with Geo, nothing with the other elements. So there's not even any unique synergy between the units. So let's assume that this happens. Now, if this happens, Dendro is just going to end up in the same boat as Geo. So I don't see why MiHoYo won't capitalize and use this unknown variable to make Geo even more formidable and Dendro to be a kind of element that isn't a complete mess like Geo. So it makes sense to me that Geo and Dendro will be a thing because this solves two problems. Solves the problem of not having Dendro being a crap element and making Geo a great element. So that would make sense to me, right? You guys can decide what makes sense for you. Also, please don't go running to get Albedo now because of what I explained here. I know he's gonna be a Geo enabler, but I don't think you guys should just pull for Albedo just for the fact that he might be something, right? And I do not want to be responsible for that. So please do not do that. I'm sure MiHoYo will see to it that a 4-star Geo enabler is available if Dendro really does have a reaction with Geo. You're not gonna just leave, not gonna just leave it to a 5-star to only be able to do this. And of course, if you have Zhongli, then you don't need Albedo, because especially you have a C1 Zhongli, because he just drops 2 pillars at the same time. As a matter of fact, I do think the Zhongli banner is going to be rerun due to his recent buffs. I know a lot of people are actually talking about the Zhongli banner getting rerun, but I don't think they have the reason right. The reason Zhongli is going to get rerun, I'm almost 100% certain of this, is because according to the buffs, C1 Zhongli is going to be better now. Because I can't remember the exact effect, but it was in the second buff that he got in the recent notes, where he will be able to drop an extra pillar with another ability or something. Anyways, you guys get the point. I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about. So he is gonna be better at C1 now, and a lot of people, myself included, it is gonna be more interested in a C1 Zhongli, and that is why I think MiHoYo is going to bring back Zhongli, because more people are interested in C1 Zhongli, and a lot of people are now interested in getting Zhongli for those of you who didn't get him. So yeah, I do think Zhongli is gonna get another he is coming back, and I also think that Venti is coming back because of Zhao. So please save some Primo Gems. Do not get Albedo right now. I'm telling you, I really do think that Venti is coming back, and Venti is such a powerful Venti is the most powerful unit in the game in my opinion. So not powerful as in DPS kind of powerful, just powerful as in broken kind of powerful. Just absolutely, yeah. Too bad they can't nerf him. I'm gonna get Venti when he comes back. So that's pretty much what I'm saving my Primo Gems for right now. So yeah, as far as Albedo is concerned, he's great, and I don't care for him right now, even though I am aware of my own predictions, and I'm very certain that they are gonna come to pass. Most of them, well, something in this video is gonna come to pass, right? So yeah, there's also nothing that Albedo can do that my 4 stars can't do. So he doesn't fill a niche other than being a Geo enabler for Dendro. And that's another reason why I strongly think that there is going to be a Geo Dendro reaction, and Albedo is going to be important because he's a great Geo enabler. And those of you who have him, congratulations, okay? Because I really do think that this is gonna happen. And of course, I do think that they are going to have to change all Geo units to make crystallized shields without burning the debuff on the enemies the same way Albedo does it. I can't understand just having Albedo being able to do this. I really think that MiHoYo is going to see the importance of making all Geo units capable of doing this and giving each one of them some sort of enabling abilities. Zhongli specifically. This is going to be another indirect buff to Zhongli. So yes, Albedo is a great unit, but he's just not anything special to me right now other than being a Geo enabler for Dendro. And yeah, that's about it. Basically, everyone is missing the fact that Albedo is our very first Geo enabler, and that is pointing strongly towards Dendro Geo synergies or reactions. Also, if you're interested in more analysis based content like this, make sure to subscribe, share the videos, drop a like. It really helps so other people can see this kind of stuff, and that's all I really care about. Don't forget to check out my artifact video as well. I show you guys how to manipulate and add substats to artifacts, and I think I am actually going to make a part 2 to this video, to that artifact video, because I have to upgrade my other 7 units in a few days. So if you guys want me to record how I'm going to create those god rolls and get those hits and the substats that I want, then you guys could drop a comment down below, and if you have watched the first one, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So if you do want another one, then please comment down below and I will make that. But you know, whatever. As usual, don't forget, learn the game and play the cards you are dealt.